What if you had the resources you needed for your mental health right at your fingertips? Imagine a world where our mental well-being is prioritized just like our physical health, and where we have access to the tools and support we need. That's exactly what the Make Mental Health Matter show is all about. Join Kelli Melissa Reinhardt, a true warrior for mental health, founder of Make Mental Health Matter nonprofit, author, and wellness coach. This show is your gateway to breaking down the stigma surrounding mental health. Tune in for enlightening conversations, expert insights, and empowering stories that will not only increase awareness, but also provide education about mental health. It's time to have those hard conversations, prioritize your well-being, and make your mental health matter. Your mental wellness journey starts here.
Welcome to another episode of the Make Mental Health Matter show. I am your host, Kelli Melissa Reinhardt, and guess what? I have a guest this week. I know you're all so excited that you don't have to just listen to me for the next hour, but I am excited to have a guest this week and really sharing. So, women empowerment, that's where we're going to go today, which I always think is exciting, but I am a woman and I love feeling empowered. But there's a lot of ways that we can go about that. And there are a lot of things in life that end up happening that lead us to maybe this place that we don't feel so empowered, or we're wearing all these hats. We have to be mom, we have to be business owner, we have to be wife or daughter or whatever it happens to be. And sometimes in those moments, we tend to, not tend to, maybe some of us, I can't speak for everybody, but um, maybe we lose ourselves. Maybe we're not exactly sure who we are anymore as a person, as a human, and we need to tap into other things in life that ultimately give us maybe our identity back, or empowering us to live in this space that we want to live. I don't know, I'm just, rolling off like I normally do, but I'm excited, so I'm not going to waste time in rambling today, but I do want to share a little bit, because it has been a couple weeks that you guys have sat here and listened to me. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. So Michael Brim is a retired professional biologist who writes fiction as Michael Goldcraft. His Darke Lyfe trilogy novels won Royal Palm literary, I can't even talk today. See, words, they're hard today, obviously. Um Awards in Florida Writers Association. His script adaptation of Accent of Evil, man, words, come back. Accent of Evil also won an award. He has written 13 Tales of Electric Evil, a collection of short stories, three scripts, a lengthy biography, and a nonfiction self improvement book. His magazine articles have appeared in Florida Sportsman. He has been writing, editing, and copywriting for over 25 years. So, as an adjacent facility member of Gulf Coast State College, he has taught several courses, including creative writing. I should probably reread that whole entire thing, but instead of me wasting time, I'm just going to bring him up and he can share with us. Michael, thank you so
Hey,
much for joining me today.
oh, thank you for having me as a guest. I'm excited to be on your program, and I'm certainly an advocate of making mental health matter. Oh, yes. And uh, and I want to take just a second to say that you started out forming this nonprofit, and you didn't know the first thing to do, but you went on the journey by yourself, with help, with guidance, and now you have this wonderful program that is terribly important for everyone. So I congratulate you on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And sorry, I totally butchered your bio because I should have made it a lot bigger so I could see it on my screen.
That's all right.
It's like
That's
words
all
are
right.
hard today. But I do, can you just start off by sharing a little bit about yourself with the audience? And then why, I mean, it sounds like you've done a lot of writing and also um, lots of books, lots of publication. Like, really, what brought you to this space? And I know we're going to talk about the book that is also launching, but let's talk a little bit about you first.
Okay, I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, and after high school, I went to barber college and got a license as a barber, and I wasn't happy. And one day, out in the parking lot, a friend of mine looked at me and I said, you know, I've tried to get a job with the Utah Fish and Game. I can't get a job. And I'm not happy. And he said, Michael, a college, your only salvation is a college education. And that just hit me like a rock. And uh, I didn't even know where the university was in Salt Lake. I had never been on the campus. But about a week later, I had a dream that I was going to college. I woke up one morning. I told my wife I'm going to college. She said, "Roll over and go back to sleep. You're crazy." But I did. I was fortunate in that I knew what my major was, biology. Uh, but in our book, To Empower Women, we point out that you don't have to decide what you want to do, whether it's a trade or it's a college education, immediately. The first 2 years of college, of course, are general education, introducing you to all kinds of things. And suddenly the aha moment comes along and you say, oh, that's what I'd like to be. Uh, so our book is about that, and we have a chapter on empowerment through education. And we hope this is helpful. So would you like to hear more about I went to graduate school in Long Island. I worked for the Fish and Wildlife Service for 31 years as a marine biologist, and all of that time I did a lot of writing. It started out one evening with my wife. We were talking about witches and warlocks and vampires and stuff, and I had the idea, could I write a story about a vampire that was biologically credible? And that's what the trilogy is about. The name of the trilogy has changed. I'll correct what you said. It is the Dangerous Discoveries trilogy, and it's going to be published by Proving Ground Publications. But back to the important book, Women of Planet Earth. Now that is a pretty wide demographic, and we've written the book, Kelli and I and one reader, and we are focusing on one individual each time. In this broadcast, uh, I'm looking, I imagine looking at one person, and that one person has taken the time to give us some of their very precious time and focus to listen. And that's what any teacher needs to appreciate is the students sitting out there have given their time to listen and to learn. And I hope we can be helpful today in the same way. So I'm looking at the individuals out there, each and every one of you, that is so precious, even if you don't know it yet.
Amazing. And I know, so Kelly Klein is the co-author, and she wasn't able to be here today, but I'm gonna bring her back on another show. So
Oh, she wants to come back, and a lot of family reasons she couldn't be here. So you get me instead. Now,
that's okay.
Kelly is younger and prettier, but you're stuck with me today, kid.
That's all right. We're good with that.
So,
Well, thank you for sharing, I mean, a little bit about yourself. And it is so I was actually born in Utah, in Provo, Utah, and I always wanted to be a
oh,
marine biologist, which is so funny because I lived in Utah where there's no oceans, and in Colorado, yeah, like I don't
yeah,
live anywhere
yeah,
near an ocean, but I always
yeah.
wanted to be a marine biologist, and then I decided that it was too hard. It had too much math and science.
Ah, I
So,
suffered through it. I suffered through it. You people can always do more than they believe they can do.
yeah, I was just young and, wanted to get out of school. But um I love the fact that you have taken, I mean, just even in the spare time of finding these spaces to write and creating um ideas that you're like, maybe I can. And you did, which I think is super cool. And then now you have this book launching in addition to Kelly, and it's Kelly EY. So to differentiate so everybody knows, but she'll again be coming on the show and we'll be able to talk about it
Yeah,
also. But share a
good.
little bit because I know the book is launching. So I would love to hear just like what is this book all about, because there are a lot of women on planet Earth.
Well, yes, and it applies to every single individual. Women of Planet Earth has a subtitle, and it's that we want to empower women to reach their full potential and realize their dreams. And part of the book as it moves forward is thinking about what do I want? What is my dream? Because you've got to have something to go for. But there's a fable at the beginning because part one is about the truly important decision if you want a partner. It might be married, might be just a partner that's your partner for life without marriage. You might be a gay individual and it may be a female partner. Doesn't matter. We, in our prologue, Kelly and I make it clear that we're approaching this as scientists and biologists without regard to theology or religion or politics or any of those viewpoints. We are talking about individuals reaching their full potential. And so the fable is the partner could be a man. Most people are heterosexual, but it's about two twins who, on their 18th birthday, have to make a journey across the desert of trial and the mountains of hope, clear to the very top to the ancient one, the mystic, who is going to provide them uh, information. the fable is simply about two cars that these girls are driving that are metaphors for partners. One is very glamorous but isn't well built. The other is sturdy and well built and can carry people and burdens. And so the point is that a partner has to be have the qualities to go the distance if you want a partner for life. Uh, so the fable is interesting, and then we move into chapter 1, which I want to take a minute to talk about. And the title of that is Big Decisions That Come Early. And there's no way of avoiding these three big, we call them challenges. But in chapter 1, the first one is a girl, once she's turned 13, had her first period, she's sexually mature. She has to ask herself a very important question. Do I want to be a mother? And if so, when? And the other question is, am I inclined to be sexually active between the time I'm 13 and 18 and considered an adult? Now that's a tough, realistic question. And we encourage young women to go to their parents and go to their family physician and talk about it. And it takes courage to say, Mom, Dad, I'm probably going to be inclined to be sexually active, but I do not want to be a mother at this young age. And so you got to face birth control. You can't go to any other organization because telling a young woman, just be a good girl, probably over those 5 years isn't going to cut it. It's important to be realistic. So that's the first challenge. Do I want to be a mother and assume all of those responsibilities? And do I want to have a partner who'll stick with me? And when do I want to do this? And so by uh, considering birth control, that gives you an opportunity to control your life and the baby's. Second challenge in that first chapter is a driver's license. You turn 16, you got a car, you got freedom. Well, guess what? With freedom comes responsibility. And if you drive safely and don't have any accidents, your insurance rates won't get jacked up. If you drive safely and avoid alcohol completely, you won't get any DUIs. And tragically, some kinds people don't aren't responsible, and other people get injured or even killed. So a driver's license, that's a big challenge. And the third challenge is that the last 2 years of high school are academically important. If you want to go on even to a trade school or a college or a university, because your grade point average, particularly in the last 2 years, and your performance on a college entrance exam can lead to a scholarship. And a scholarship is money. Sometimes it pays it for everything, but at least your tuition and your books and things. And so the last 2 years of high school are important. They really are. And it's tough. And I didn't do particularly well in the last 2 years of my high school. But if you if you're not born into a wealthy family, gee whiz, a scholarship could be very important. So those are the three things just in chapter one, and we had to address those head on early. And then the book proceeds. Part one is about defining the individual, and there's a chapter called Who Are You? And it's a self evaluation where we encourage the reader to take time and reflect. And then the following chapter is health, exercise, energy, uh, self image, and self worth. And it's to tell an individual woman if you're not particularly happy with the chapter before and your self-evaluation, here are 10 actions that you can take over 10 weeks, and you can change things and you can improve. And to become empowered, you need all of these different uh, uh, improvements, and we all do. So we are encouraging the women to consider that. So the first part of the book is about selecting the right partner if you want one. You may decide to go about your life as a career and single, and that's fine. And we'll get to that in the second part of the book. But choosing a partner to be a husband, to be a father, to be a good father, to provide security. Uh, it's more than just sex in the back seat of a car, and that's why it's important to make all of these decisions with thought and ahead of time sometimes, because the book is about giving the individual woman control over her own life. And Dr. Stephen Covey pointed out that the only way to do that is to have a central core of values. You don't empower, for example, your church or your spouse or your children or your education or your job to dictate your happiness. If you empower any of those to dictate your happiness, you're lost. The only thing that we can really rely on is the values and principles that we internalize that define who we are, and we control our own lives, and we make our own decisions, and we're responsible for them. But that's the only way that Kelli and I know to empower a woman. And so always think about yourself and your inner core. That's what we're talking about. Good values like trust and dependability and loyalty, and those same qualities need to be in your partner. And the last thing I would say about choosing a partner is you have to learn what you have in common with that person beyond sex. You really do. If you suddenly get married and then a year later you find out, well, you really don't have anything in common with this person, that's one of the pathways to divorce, sadly. So the first part of the book about choosing the right partner and making the right decisions early. That's what that's about.
I love
And
that.
and there's a lot involved to choosing the right partner if you want one.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I love is that you call it a challenge because that's the word I always use is a challenge versus, uh, well, in the mental health space, a diagnosis or disorder. But I love the challenge part of that. We're going to go to our quick first sponsor break. I know it goes really fast on the show. But once we get back, we'll chat a little bit more about the book. So we'll be right back after this
I
quick
look
break.
forward to it. Okay. Bye-bye.
What if you could transform your mental health journey with just one question? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to prioritize your mental well-being like never before? Well, now's your chance. Introducing Make Mental Health Matter, the show that's changing the conversation about mental wellness. Join us every Monday on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Time as we delve into insightful discussions, expert advice, and inspiring stories. Hosted by Kelli Melissa Reinhardt, a warrior for mental health. This show is your guide to breaking down the stigma surrounding mental health and discovering valuable resources to enhance your well-being. So, are you ready to take charge of your mental health journey? Tune in and let's make mental health matter together.
Have you ever felt completely alone?
Like your life doesn't matter.
One person dies due to suicide every 40 seconds.
You are not alone. Call the National Suicide Lifeline at 988.
Hope and recovery is possible.
1 in 8 people globally live with a mental disorder.
That's why empowering minds saves lives.
We need your help.
With only $19 a month, you help us save lives through mental health and suicide prevention education.
Scan the QR code or go to makementalhealthmatter.org to sign up as a warrior for mental health today.
And like that, we're back.
We're
If you
back.
happen to be, yeah. If you happen to be just tuning into the Make Mental Health Matter show, thank you, whether you are watching or listening. My guest and I, Michael, we are chatting about women empowerment and the new book that him and Kelly Klein are launching, which is called Women of Planet Earth. Did I get that right?
Women of Planet Earth, yes.
Awesome.
And it's aimed at every single woman on planet Earth. And of all age groups, of all races, it's about them. So, would you like to talk about part 2 of the book?
Yeah, we can talk about part 2. I will just say that if one couple things came up when you were talking to is that I love that you both took this book from more of a like scientific biological aspect, so that it addresses everybody or encompasses all ages, all demographics, all races, all the things. So I thought that was really, really cool how you mentioned that. And yeah, I would love, let's hear about part 2.
Well, and you mentioned all ages. I'm 81, I'll be 82 in May, and I haven't slowed down. So if a woman is 45, 55, 60, if she is divorced or single or a widow or whatever, doesn't matter. You still have dreams that you can realize. Uh, so part 2 of the book, Empowerment Through You, that is what that part of the book is about. And it starts out with empowerment through encouragement. And we all need encouragement. And in that chapter, we get across the point that You need to surround yourself with others who will be supportive. And you need to tell them what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. And you need to give them encouragement. They may be facing, for example, mental health problems like depression, okay? Let me say this while we're on it. Stephen Covey also, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the late Stephen Covey, said that there isn't, as far as he knew, any course at any university or college on listening. And if you want to encourage someone else, you have to listen. And there's all levels of listening. There's background listening when you're listening for your kids to make sure they're not getting in any trouble. That's kind of monitoring listening. But the highest form of listening is attentive listening. And that's really important to sustain a relationship. Trust me, I know, because that's one of the areas that I failed in. I was not as attentive as I should be. And I've improved on that now. But so one of the chapters in part 2 is empowerment through encouragement. One of the chapters is empowerment through examples. And we have 8 examples of women, and however, 2 of the 8, Chris Coward and Barbara Streisand, the book is dedicated to those 2 ladies. And it was Barbara Streisand's autobiography, My Name is Barbara, that is 800 pages long. I read it 3 times because I'm interested in the film industry. But Barbara Streisand and Chris Coward are the quintessential examples of not only their own empowerment, but empowering all the women around them to realize their full potential. You don't know right now what your full potential even is. And it's important that you realize that you are a more precious individual than you can comprehend. But Kelly Klein and I, the authors, we believe in you. We know that you're important. So empowerment through examples. Barbara Streisand started out as a skinny little girl in Brooklyn who lost her father at age 5, had a stepfather who was mean. She had the one talent. She wanted to be an actress, but the one talent she had was singing. So she made a little money singing in nightclubs and put that money into a tiny little apartment in Manhattan, which she loved. It was above a restaurant, and put that money into acting lessons. And she took acting lessons, 3 or 4 years. I mean, she worked hard at the craft of acting, and she was blessed with the ability to sing. But she started out a skinny little girl in Brooklyn whose mom did not encourage her and whose stepfather was abusive. Her father set a wonderful example. He was a professor at a college. So empowerment through education is one of the steps. And that's complicated, and that's where things like a scholarship, Pell Grants that you don't have to pay back, limited student loans, going to a college that is suited for what you want to be, with the exemption of the first 2 years. Go to the first 2 years and find out what you want to be. So empowerment through encouragement, empowerment through examples, empowerment through education. Then there's a chapter on empowerment through energy. Oh my gosh, we all need that energy. What are we talking about? We talk about, of course, all kinds of exercises. We're an advocate of Qigong. Qigong is a form of exercise that is on YouTube. There's a fellow whose name escapes me right now who teaches it. But Qigong is a moderate form of exercise that focuses on breathing, flexibility, heart rate, muscle tone, but they're not strenuous exercise. They do build up muscles, but you just have to give it a try. But there's lots of exercises, and then we go into diet and how important that is. And finally, we go into meditation, and that's important for mental clarity. When you feel the world is just dumping stuff on you, you take time to meditate. And when you meditate in the present moment. You don't worry about the past. Don't think about the past. You don't think about your obligations in the future. No, you put on some nice music, maybe light an incense, maybe put on a video that's relaxing, and you experience auditory input, the singing or the piano playing, visual input on the screen or watching the birds outside, whatever. Uh, 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 oh, the fragrance of the incense. And there's a biological word for it, and it escapes me right now. But empowerment through energy. You can't do what you want to do unless you have the energy to do it. You have to be fit. And there's a chapter on empowerment through employment. And there are certain ways to go about handling employment and being able to speak up for yourself at the right time and being able to advance your career through knowing what your employer's mission is, for example, and being a part of that. And I'm trying to think of the other chapters. I've gone
It sounds
blank.
like
But
you, that's
there,
okay. It sounds like you guys covered all of the, I mean, if you think about it, it's when you're younger, right? You have these decisions that you have to make, as you talked about the 13-year-old and the decision to, one, first and foremost, have children or not. And then as you go or progress in life, then you have to think about education, you have to think about employment, you have to, I mean, these are like real life things that we have to consider and all the pieces. So as you're talking about it, I'm like, I feel like I just went through them and then I didn't think about them. But how cool is it to have a book that can show you all of the things that you will be going through and or considering and how you can utilize those to empower yourself? I think that's pretty cool.
yes, and one of the chapters is empowerment through security and safety in a parking lot, safety online, on the net. Uh, uh, Women in this day and age have to be alert and they have to be smart so that they can stay safe. And then finally, one of the last chapters we have is entitled, Going It Alone Isn't Being Alone. And there are women who choose not to have a partner. There are women who choose not to get married, but to focus entirely on their career. And that's just fine. But it doesn't mean because you're going it alone, you're going to be alone. No, you're going to have friends and associates where you work and social clubs and all that. So going it alone is not being alone. And finally, the epilogue of the book is a new paradigm, a new vision, a new start. And we end it believing in you viewers, believing in that one viewer who's taking the time to listen to me, believing in that one reader. And we have our Gmail email addresses for both Kelli and I, and we will be very receptive to answering questions if you want to take the time to email us. And you may be out there saying, as a guy, what are you doing? This is contrary to the way I think. Well, too bad, pal. This is about empowering women because I had two women in my life who were relatives who made the wrong choices. And they sold out and didn't appreciate themselves or the talents they made. And they had problems with men, divorce, all of those sorts. You've got to believe in yourself. And if you have problems, depression or other problems, Kelli with an I, the host of this program, go to her. If you came to me, I would give you her information because you need to ask for help. And honest to God, it's there. You just have to ask.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate the shout out because definitely if people need help, right, sometimes we get in those situations that we're not feeling so empowered and we're not feeling like we are feeling like we're alone. And so I love that. I mean, I can just tell that there's an energy behind this book and why you are so passionate about it and why knowing that you're not alone, whether, and I mean, I think it could translate also with men in a way, right? Like, I know you guys wrote the book for female and women empowerment, but I mean, if you look at it from the lens, even through um, the lens of a male, is like, how can you, as that partner, be supportive of the female in your life also, I think is really important. But yeah,
It is.
helping people not feel so alone.
That's right. And there's nothing preventing a man from reading this book. And the principles of empowerment don't know any gender boundaries. The same principles for empowerment really do apply to men too. And so we hope that we will have some male readers who will read that and maybe understand women a little better. And I'm an octogenarian, and I'm still trying to understand women better. It's important. But when I was executive director of a nonprofit, I had three ladies who worked for me, and we would have staff meetings, and I would get them in there, and I would say, okay, Give me your best ideas. How can we realize this conservation mission? You're smart people, and they were. They were very smart. And I was wise enough to get them together and say, you have as much input in this as I do, okay? I'm just the executive director. I'm just sort of the manager. But I've got 3 brilliant women right here at the table, and I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you think. How can we make the program go better? And I know you do the same thing with your staff. We listen. We listen to people, attentive listening, so that we can make it easier on ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I mean, so I guess I also kind of reflect on the period of today, right? Like today's times are very different from even when you grew up, right? And
You bet.
it has been, I guess, always, not always, but it's been a man's world in a way, right? And then women
Oh,
in have stepped up quite a bit now.
I,
So,
I am so glad you said that because, yes, historically we have been a patriarchal society. Men have thought they could run things, and right now, it's more important right now than ever in history that we tap the resources of our female population. We need good female leaders, and it's an untapped resource. And as a member of the other gender, I think we men need to wise up a little bit, and because we're not women have done a lot of great things recently, but they're just getting started. I really believe that they're just getting started. So for each individual watching this, we're talking about you, and we believe in you. And as we've said before, you can do it. So as Nike says in their slogan, just do it. No excuses. Just do it.
I love that. So we're coming close-ish to the end, but I have a question for you. And so I'm curious, as you're writing this book with Kelli, what is probably the biggest takeaway that you personally are taking at, about women as you're going through this process of writing?
What my personal takeaway?
Yeah.
Oh, is like I said, uh, women individuals are the ones who don't believe they can do these things. And we try to increase their self-confidence and their self-esteem because they undervalue themselves as individuals, and they limit their dreams based on what somebody else tells them. A mother and a father can say, "Oh, forget being an attorney. You're not going to be an attorney. You know what? Going 6 years to college, the last 2 years law school, any graduate work, law school, med school, even the sciences, you would think they'd be harder, but they're actually easier because you're working in an area you enjoy and love. So graduate school is a walk in the park compared to your bachelor's degree. And so work hard on your bachelor's degree with the vision of going on to graduate school, because it will get easier. It's not harder. It's easier. I went on to do my graduate work in sharks, and I went to my major professor, and he said, "Have you decided what your uh, thesis is going to be?" And I said, "I want to study sharks." And he looked at me and he said, "Are you crazy? They're big, they're hard to handle, they're dangerous. Why do you want to do that?" And I said, "Because I think they're fascinating." And I spent 2 years out on Great South Bay, Long Island, studying sharks. And it was a lot of fun. And we met a lot of people. And I didn't get, when I went to work for Fish and Wildlife, I didn't get a chance to study sharks. I had to protect the coastal environment and the sea life. It was a more general resource management kind of thing. But graduate school, going to law school is pretty much just memorization. You can do that. You can learn to memorize all those laws and statutes and that. So envision what your dream is, and don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. It's going to be hard finding the right pathway, like Kelli did with making mental health matter. She didn't know what the hell she was doing when she started, but she started, and she had a goal in mind, and now she has this terrific nonprofit association that is doing so much good for mental health. And I am so pleased to be honored to be a guest on her show. I don't take it for granted. I'm honored to be here, Kelli.
Amazing. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to come. And I know um, Kelli, again, Kelli Klein, she's going to come on later and we'll have another chance to share. But I just really appreciate you being on today and being an amazing guest and sharing as much as you can about the book. I think it's going to be an amazing book. So when is the official launch date?
It's going to be released sometime in May. I don't have the exact date, but when Kelli comes on, hopefully between spring and summer semester, latter half of May, she will know exactly where they can go to buy it. But it's being published by Proving Ground Publications, and and then it'll of course be on Amazon. And initially, the book is going to be real inexpensive. We're really lowering the price of the book for, say, the first 3 months, and we want word of mouth. That's how any book or any film gets popular. Is the first few readers and word of mouth. So if you look into it in May early, it won't cost much.
Nice. Well, we'll definitely get her on before that so that we get an actual official date. But thank you so much, Michael, for coming on and sharing your experience, how it has helped you through this journey of writing this book with Kelli. And I just appreciate you being a guest today.
Thank you. I appreciate being a guest. You have a wonderful life.
Thank you. You
Okay,
too.
your nonprofit and its mission, we support it 100%.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, y'all, that was another amazing episode of the Make Mental Health Matter show. I love the empowerment of women, right? I'm a woman and I think it's important, and I think that being able to take the science, the biology behind all of this and think about what you go through as a female. And I think we touched on safety kind of last minute, but I think that that is a really, really important part. So I'm gonna have Kelli back on another show before the book goes live so that you can or well, I can chat with her, get her thoughts, and then also give an actual date of when the book is launching. But in the show notes, you can go and read a little bit more about Michael and a little bit about Kelli. And I just hope that you have an amazing day. And those of you women that are watching, you are important, you are powerful, you are seen, you are valued, and this is really the moment to, what are your dreams and how do we put action behind those dreams? I think that's the most important. No matter what you do, take the action to come back next Monday. I go live every single Monday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Dream Vision 7 Radio, or you can watch on E360 TV at 5 p.m. That is Mountain Denver time. I'll see you next Monday. Bye, y'all.
Thank you for joining today for the Make Mental Health Matter show. We hope you found today's episode insightful and empowering. Remember, your mental health journey doesn't end here. For more resources, support, and information, visit us online at makementalhealthmatter.org. You won't forget to subscribe to our show or follow us on social media to stay connected and continue the conversation, will you? That's right. Together, let's make mental health matter. Until next time.